when you protect yourself, then you communicate the idea that some topics daddy and mommy are not comfortable.
Not comfortable, yeah, correct.
And children pick that up and they don't talk to you.
Yeah, that's the thing. That after the accident or after the trauma, life never goes back to the same. It was difficult for the mum to even talk to the child about the accident because of the fact that the trauma was very raw.
You can protect all you want, but we can't be with them 24/7. So, hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Reality Bites. So, my name is Wei Ping and
I'm Kai Fen.
Okay, so we're here to talk about a very interesting topic, I suppose. Talking to kids about the difficult stuff or the hard stuff.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
I think as parents, you want to be there, to be present for your children, to support them in their growing up years.
True.
Yeah. So and of course, it's very cliche to say this, but the world is always getting different. Actually, talking to children about difficult topics also help to grow this thing called social intelligence.
Yes.
Yeah, so it helps them to learn how to act wisely, in a more savvy way in complex social situations.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Let's go. What makes certain topic difficult, and why do adults often avoid them?
I think, I ask myself what are some reasons why I might find it hard to talk to my daughter about some of the potentially difficult things. One is maybe I myself need time to clarify within myself what do I really think about these issues.
Yes.
And because they are difficult things, I prefer not to think about them and get on with my life, and not think about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
I think some adults are also uncomfortable to talk about it. Maybe they themselves have not experienced what is it like to be talked to about certain issues.
Yeah, they probably have not experienced having talked to about pornography, grief and dying, racism, for example.
Yep.
As adults, we are uncomfortable and we do not have enough information about such things. And maybe some matters have a certain moral standards.
Yeah.
And then as adults, maybe we feel like, we are also not perfect. Then should we tell our children what we want from them? But what is some things that most people, how do we as adults comply to certain moral standards? So I think that's something that adults are also might be uncomfortable about.
True. Yeah. I'm also thinking how sometimes maybe for certain difficult issues like divorce or grief and loss, if parents themselves are going through it, adults themselves are going through it, they might be still trying to figure out their own issues, their own emotions, then it's going to be very difficult for them to even talk to kids about it.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, let's look at the next question. What are some topics you feel are a must to be discussed between parent and child?
I suppose a few key topics will be like sex, boundaries in relationships, how you want them to interact with others.
I think most importantly, even daily life.
Right?
Like if you don't even talk to your child about daily things that's happening, then how do you talk about big issues?
Like daily life, what do you mean?
Like talking to them about like things like what have you been doing in school? How are things? How did you feel when people say certain things or do certain things to you? That's right.
Maybe the other thing that I was just talking about in school, I think nowadays suicide rates among youths are really high. So talking about suicide, talking about death, talking about violence in school. And then the way we talk about it can't be just like, what do you think? So we shouldn't do these kind of things, right? Okay, so don't do, okay, finish. So it shouldn't be like a one-way street.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's really having a conversation to find out about like even things like how did you react when your friends say certain things that is like, very sad. How did you feel when your friends said or shared certain sad things with you?
Yeah.
What is the hardest conversation you've ever had to have with a child or your child, and how did you navigate that?
Wow, hardest. Because hardest, so can I don't talk about it? Because it's so hard for me. No, hardest. Hardest. One conversation that I had with a child before, how she has not seen her mom for many years or at all. She has vague memories of her mom, and that was That was one of, I guess, even emotional experience for me to facilitate that conversation for her with her own family members.
Then how did you navigate that?
I guess for me, then I guess there's a lot of preparation work, thinking about it myself. What's my position vis-a-vis sharing of secrets? Why do I think the secret needs to be shared? To whose benefit? So a lot of internal processing. I guess that was I did to navigate that lah. Yeah.
I ever had a client who was referred to me because he was involved in a road traffic accident. So it was a very difficult conversation to have with actually both him and his mom, because mom was also part of the accident. And I think it was difficult for the mom to even talk to the child about the accident because of the fact that the trauma was very raw. It was still something that she remembered and recalled. So I think one of the hardest conversations that you can never have with a child is really to talk about and process about things that are happening, that are traumatic, things that affected them so much such that after the accident or after the trauma, life never goes back to the same. Yeah, it can be as simple as things like maybe my pet died, or somebody in the family passed on, or I saw, someone in my family abusing another person, or I saw a parent abusing drugs. Things like this are things that actually some of the kids that we work with, they do talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are trying to make sense, but as adults, are we then, ready to talk to them about these things, or are we even open to talk to them about these things? Yeah, and I think that sometimes I use books actually to talk to them. I use books that talk about feelings, that talks about like people dying and things like that. And I think all these books are actually very helpful to bring out certain topics with kids so that they understand that things can happen. And that they really want to talk about it, like a terrible thing happened, so I need to talk about it. So I think using books, stories, or even play to play out what happens, to get them to talk more, and then from there we can process about it.
Yeah, I think books is a very useful medium. When you're talking to the child, because sometimes our own emotions get involved. So I guess it's also to respect their boundaries, because it's their issue, and how do they want it to be addressed? How are they choosing to be addressed? We can provide that support. We can discuss it with them, but respect their boundaries with regards to how they think that they want to exercise their right to manage that and manage ourselves and hold ourselves back to allow them to solve their own issues as well. So I guess that's another important. How do I navigate that?
Be prepared for it. Be prepared ourselves.
Yeah.
What are some tips for having an effective conversation with a child?
I think two things. One is to watch your tone. The second is watch your tag. Tone means how do you come across to the child. So sometimes I tell parents, pretend that you're a counselor yourself. Right? If you pretend that you're a counselor, then suddenly you are more mindful. And then you just be more careful in the way you speak to your child, and always be respectful of them as beings, as individuals, and also their feelings.
Yes.
Right? That's tone. Tag is then be mindful of what you say, be careful with what you say. I think these are the two quick tips.
Yeah, definitely. I think that mindfulness about understanding that actually our children are learning from us.
Yeah.
So when you have conversations with them, you want to also help them to learn how to be effective conversationalists, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Yeah, so just be mindful about how we speak with them, the things that you say, and how you want them to learn from you.
Yeah, and of course age appropriateness, because preschool, school going, and teenagers, they are all a bit different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. How do I create a relationship in which my child feels comfortable telling me anything?
Well, maybe first is you need to accept that they might not be comfortable to tell you everything. So we have to build the relationship from young.
Yes.
It's not something like, a lot of people might think, teenage years is the turbulent years. Then I start to on the parent in me, the parent suddenly appear. That doesn't work. You kind of need to build that relationship from young and have difficult conversations from young. Because you need to create that rule or the idea that it's okay to talk about difficult things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that everything starts from young, definitely. And how do you then be open and genuine? That you genuinely want to listen to them. I think a lot of kids actually, when they are young, they want to talk to their parents. They want to tell their parents everything about things that's happening in their life. But as parents, do we have the patience to listen to them? Do we have the patience and the openness to really want to, or even sometimes as parents, I think you are very tired after work and you want to go back and listen to your child. That might be actually difficult and challenging. Yeah. So how do you then start from there to understand that there are times when you are going to be, impatient? How do you then take care of that before you talk to your child and build that openness to have that conversation?
Yeah. I think also, how do you cater your schedule for that, right? Because if it's always very rushed, then there isn't like time for them to really like talk to you about things, So I think allowing space for them to talk to you, I think that's another good idea.
Yeah, space, definitely. How much should I protect my child from? And when is honesty more helpful?
The idea is if you start to protect them, sometimes I guess the pitfall of having this idea is actually sometimes we are protecting ourselves.
Yeah.
When you protect yourself, then you communicate the idea that some topics daddy and mommy are not comfortable.
Not comfortable, yeah, correct.
And children pick that up and they don't talk to you.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I think age appropriate, definitely. And then of course the other thing is also about like how do you then be open as you talk to them? How do you then give them the facts? Because like I say, at the end of the day, if you don't tell them, they're going to find out the information from somewhere. It's just where. Either their friends or from even the internet.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's being factual, using the right terms, being ready ourselves as adults to talk to them, to know what are the right information to be talking to them about and how do you talk to them. Yeah.
And I guess we can't be with them 24/7. So I think giving them that relationship where they feel comfortable to come back and always discuss things is always important.
Yeah. All right, next question. How do I know if my child is struggling with something they aren't talking about?
You want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah, because
I think observations about your child, whether or not is there any changes in their behaviors or even subtle changes. Last time I had this kid, right? They want to go to school. And then the parents were like, you're lazy, you don't want to wake up in the morning, why is it that you don't want to go to school and things like that. But actually the child is struggling because there was some bullying incident that was happening in school. There was some name calling that was happening in school that the child was actually struggling with, but don't know how to talk about it. And that started with not wanting to go to school. That was the first behavior, but parents didn't see it. They see it as you're just lazy, you don't want to wake up in the morning. Yeah, so I think it's being able to observe whether or not there are any changes, whether there are any things that are subtle. It doesn't have to be big changes, actually.
Yeah. I guess as parents, we always try our best. There's no 100% thing, I guess, in the world. We always try our best. But I guess going back, if you've built that relationship from young, then the odds are they are probably more likely to tell you what they are going through, and they are more likely to share their struggles with you, and you're also more likely to know something is amiss.
Yeah. So the relationship matters. Okay, tell me everything I need to know about talking to my child about all these different topics, be it sex, be it death, be it racism and things like that.
Yeah. So I was wondering, is it okay we don't go by topic specific?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think these are general ideas. With all topics, I guess, is we have to get comfortable with ourselves first. We must make sure we have enough information and then think about what is the age-appropriate message that we want to tell them. And the other thing is, regardless of the topic, is telling is not a one-time off thing. It's a constant telling and retelling. And you tell them once, they may have questions, then you engage them in the conversation again. So it's a ongoing thing. Yeah.
So I think I totally agree with you that it's got a lot to do with age appropriateness and being prepared as adults, as parents. You need to be prepared yourself, both in terms of the facts as well as emotionally being prepared yourself to talk about it. I guess
books will be helpful. There are some books that give you those platforms or words. Sometimes if we don't feel that we have the right words.
Yeah, I mean, there's even books talking about divorce. Yeah, and their feelings, even abuse.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think books definitely is a way.
Can we refer a few, then you pick and choose and see how you feel about them as you prepare the message.
Yeah.
So that's all the questions we have for today. You have further questions or concerns about your relationship with your child, feel free to contact us. Remember, don't wait until the problem is too big before you seek help.
Right, and that's all on this episode of Therapist Answers Most Commonly Asked Questions.
In reality
bites. Okay, if you like this episode, remember to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye. Okay.